We are from different countries, but it's not like a story of Cinderella, and the prince. Of course not.
Oh.
So, no? Do you think so? And it's very important, to respect each other, despite some misunderstanding. So it's also a part of our story, I think of every international couple.
Yeah. We know we're on a journey. Yeah,
yes,
we're at
exactly.
the very start of the journey.
We're here to celebrate the newlyweds.
Hello.
Legit Gary. Is it true in Ukraine they say the higher the cork pops, the more successful will be your marriage?
Let it be so.
Yes? And this poppy hit the ceiling. So
right up there. Great.
So congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Imagine meeting as many beautiful traditional ladies as it takes until you meet the one. That's exactly what you can win right now. Just comment, subscribe and share. The winner will be announced live right here.
You had a beautiful wedding. Wow. It was amazing.
Thank you
We
that you
enjoyed.
shared with us.
And Lenchik, to see you dancing with your dad, for me it was one of the most memorable parts of the wedding.
I agree with you.
He loves you so much, you could touch the love. To your happy union, your happy marriage, your little daughter, Dasha, may you all have the most incredible happy family life in future.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
We would love to hear your love story. If you guys would like to share, how you guys met and the process of falling in love. It really is a Hollywood story to my mind. Gary, Elena was your free Skype call with us, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. I actually only spoke to one person and only selected one person.
That's so exciting. I mean, this year there's you and Peter and Olga. Yeah. It was the first introduction. Marriages, they're headed to the altar soon. So please tell me, how did that happen?
For me, it was following the coaching call that I had with Luba to pick my ladies from the database, and of course, the offer was you pick 10. So I picked 10, but really was only interested in one, and I think 7 or 8 of 10 said yes, we would be happy to meet with this man. But I was of course looking for Elena 1236 as she was then to say yes, and I had a conversation with Luba actually, and Luba said to me, we think she will be a good match for you. We would recommend that actually we are glad you chose her because we think that it would be good match for you. So I guess everything was sort of pointing at us really having that initial date, which we did, and so actually I was a light service user, Joe. I just chose the one and it went from there.
And I knew that Gary chose me and was waiting for my reply, and I did believe him, and I knew it's such. Yes, we met each other on only each other. Yes.
Yeah, nobody else. Yeah.
Yes.
I said it at the wedding, but as soon as I saw her on screen, when you know, and for me, I sort of knew at that point. So our chat, which is supposed to be for 30 minutes, went way past an hour. So we established a really good rapport during that initial meeting, and I found Elena really, really interesting, as well as obviously very, very lovely, and she said shared some personal things with me that gave me the feeling that she was serious, and she was interested in taking it further. So for me, that was the start of it. Really, was that video date.
Yeah, 3rd of September. Actually, my first impression was when I saw a photo of Gary in my post email, and I like it. I liked him, and I agreed for this video dating. When I saw him, I saw that he was a bit, nervous, worried, and he had a list of questions to ask me. And for me, it was, a bit. It was funny, but at the same way, it was about his serious intention that he prepared for this meeting. And yes, I liked him very much. Of course, we understood that it's just virtual communication, and because of COVID and quarantine restrictions, we had to wait for a long time to see personally each other. And when we finally met in May, actually we did like. So it was the beginning of our story.
Yeah, true. Pretty soon after, Joe, to be honest, we started exchanging text messages, initially on Viber and then WhatsApp, lots of photos, and just generally building a relationship. Although the distance was there, we had very frequent contact, which grew. And then we got into a bit of a routine, didn't we? Because at the end of your working day, we both work full time. At the end of the working day, Elena would like to relax and sometimes take a bath, but I didn't see anything, of course. It was just the face, but that was a favourite time for us, our little chats in the bath. So Elena would be in the bath speaking to me, just a headshot. And and sometimes they would last an hour and a half. We would talk about all sorts of things, some serious, some funny, some light, some deep. And it just developed really over the course of the next 8 months, I guess, before
from September, from the beginning of September till the end of May.
Yeah.
So
we maintained it,
almost 9 months.
It was, at times it can be a bit of a challenge because, sometimes you get the odd misunderstanding or the odd perception about things, and sometimes culture plays a part in that. But I think the strong thing about us is that we always talked about it. So if we said something we didn't quite understand, or if we said something that we thought, I'm not sure what he or she means about that, we explained and we spent time discussing it with each other to say, okay, now I understand why you said it like that, or now I understand. Because you do get those little misunderstandings, particularly in that time as we hadn't even met. So you're still trying to find out about someone and get to know someone without actually having met them in person. It was the only option for us, but it worked well for us in terms of us getting to know each other, I think,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. More difficulties, more situations that we had to solve, more positive solutions for us as for the couple, and more reassurance that everything goes well. It was such.
Yeah.
Not easy, but in very interesting way.
But what it did mean, didn't it? Because when we did meet in May, then we already knew each other, in terms of our reaction to.
We thought that we knew.
We thought we knew. Yeah, that's true. We'll come to that later.
Actually, yes. I think the whole marriage life, it's learning about each other. So now we are at the very start, at the very beginning, yes. And of course, our personal meeting first in May. Second time when Gary came to Kiev in June, we celebrated his birthday.
I spent my birthday. It was fantastic. We went to Berezan in south of Kiev, and such an amazing experience. We had a family barbecue, and I met. Obviously, I'd met Lena's parents before, but it was great to meet other members, close friends and family. And that's one thing I'll say is the hospitality here is absolutely amazing.
So can I ask about that magic first 3-day trip? And I understood you proposed, Gary, then.
I landed, and the experience for me was quite surreal because I hadn't done anything like this before. So for me, it was sitting on the aeroplane, waiting to come into Kiev, saying, how are we going to greet? Do we embrace? Do we kiss? Do we shake hands? You know, it was like all of these things. So how are we going to do this? Thanks to Elena, a full itinerary for the weekend. It was just, you know, a magical weekend. And the ballet was on the Sunday evening. Never been to one before. Always wanted to experience one. And it was amazing.
What we really want to know is, how did you pop the question? And what happened?
Well, it was sort of traditional, because getting to know Elena as I did, you know, I know that she's very strong in family values. She's very close to her parents. So I wanted her to do the old-fashioned way. I wanted to speak with her father before I asked him. So actually the way it worked was very well. Elena had already arranged a family meal for the Saturday evening. So we went to their house in Kiev, and I met her mum and dad and little baby Dasha, and also other members of the family were there, and we had a fantastic meal, as is always the case that I experienced. But I just said, you know, that I was very serious, that, you know, we were, I believed we were serious about each other, and there was a prospect of a future. So what would they feel if I did this, you know? And there was some conversation between her mum and dad, which I didn't really understand. But you know, he said, yes, we would support this. So I popped the question in the lounge of a family home with her parents looking on. And she did pause for a short period, a little period of time to think. And she said yes. And I took the ring, and there it is.
So, Lencha, can I ask you, what did you feel at that moment when he popped the question?
I was really surprised. I think I'm not sure I was ready, you know, for propositions that evening, because it was the very first meeting of us, and a day before, Gary asked me, "Are you expecting that I would make you a proposition?"
He did.
I said him yes and no. So it's up to you, because you make the proposition, and yes, I can expect, because we are, you know, even in virtual relationship, but for 9 months. And no, because it's only the first meeting, and maybe we should know each other more. Yes, and the very next day in the evening I got the proposition, and I said, understood. Okay, that's why you asked me. So you already got the ring in your pocket, you know, or in your luggage, and just he was preparing. Of course, it's a very serious step, you know, and I appreciate it very much that Gary decided to do this, because it's, you know, I did have the experience before to be married. He didn't, and it's very responsible to go to a family, you know, because the woman with a child, it's much more responsibility than just a single woman who has never been married before. So I do appreciate, and I did appreciate everything, and he passed such a long distance to come to Ukraine, yes, to everything new. He has never been here before, and touched this culture, new culture for him, totally new language. And I say my husband is very brave. Sometimes too brave, yes, but I'm the same. That's why maybe we are together.
And you have beautiful Dasha. Yeah,
we do.
If you could tell us that story, how did this beautiful little girl come into the picture? I understood you adopted her.
Yes.
We'd love to hear, you know, that story of how that happened, and has it brought you two together?
Okay. Actually, I made the decision to adopt a child before we met each other with Gary. And it was a very long process because of, again, quarantine and COVID, and there were big pauses, you know, in this process. So by the beginning of September, as we had meeting with Gary, 3rd of September, I think the very end of August, I was shown the picture of my future daughter, but I haven't seen her personally by this moment before. Yes, and actually it was important, when we met with Gary on video. I wanted to be honest and direct at the very beginning, so I told him about the plans because I wasn't going to change my plans. Otherwise, we wouldn't sit here, together if he wouldn't accept this. It was his right. And in couple days I met her, and again it was a long process of waiting for the court date. That took me 3 months, and I had to combine my work, attending her every day. It was out the city, and she, in couple months, I heard her first mama. Yes, and in December I brought her home. So yes, it was, it's very personal, it's a very private story, but I'm ready to share this because I'm sure it's maybe the best decision in my life that I've made. Our conversations with Gary, the style of conversations have changed after I brought Dasha. Because, before we expected that it would be different to find time to communicate, but it was extremely difficult and sometimes impossible. And it also made some conflicts between us that he wanted more attention, I couldn't give him that. Yes, and
it's hard to know when you have 2 crying babies, right? Who to give attention.
Oh, absolutely. When one baby is 1 year old and another is a bit more elder.
Thank you.
Okay.
1 in 50 plus.
Yes.
40.
Yes, and sometimes it was very exhausting, parts of life. Yes, and by the time when Gary arrived, he could already meet Dasha, and see how we communicate, and it was totally new experience for him. I remember the second time when you arrived, we went to the play yard all together, and he was sitting in the sand box with her, playing with toys, and it was looking, so amazing because it was a very new experience of a new father and new daughter.
And for you, Gary, how was it for you, getting a 2-for-1, wife with a newly adopted child? How was that for you?
Yeah, I said as much to Elena previously that obviously when I selected to meet with her, she was a single woman with no child. But I really appreciated the honesty during that initial video date where she volunteered this information for me, which is very personal to her, that she was intending to adopt. And, it's quite coincidental, but I'd gone through a similar thought process myself previously. So I was actually quite positive, immediately positive, thinking, oh, okay, so actually... there's an opportunity to have a family here, pretty much from the get-go, and actually, if I can say, a family without any strings, really, because with Dasha coming into your life in the way that she did, there was an opportunity for me, I think, to be a part of that and to actually be a real positive influence over how her life would develop. So I was immediately positive when Elena mentioned it to me, but the more I thought about it, the more positive, I became. So I was very happy about it, the whole package. Of course, the reality is a little bit more of a challenge because, I don't have any children. It's a challenge, but it's also very rewarding. I see little moments of magic, when she calls me, or she comes to me, little moments of success. I was explaining this morning how I managed to persuade her to put her sweater on because she was very resistant to it, but without any struggle, I achieved it. So, I agree with Elena, that relationship is building.
We are from different countries, but it's not like a story of Cinderella, and the prince. Of course not.
Oh.
So, no? Do you think so?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, so it's also very interesting to know the culture of each other. to understand and to accept some differences that we have. And it's very important, to respect each other, despite some misunderstanding. So it's also a part of our story, and I think of every international couple.
Yeah. We know we're on a journey. Yeah.
Yes,
we're at
exactly.
the very start of the journey.
Yes.
And, what advice could you give us then? You're much more experienced in you met as Ukraine and your marriage to Anna. We are at the start. What could you say to us?
Well, nothing like putting me on the spot, Gare. But, for me, the institution of marriage, it's first and foremost, it's a commitment, And I really respect, Elena, you were so honest, Gary proposed to you and you're like, this is kind of quick. But let me see, if you're man enough, you think you can handle me and a new baby girl, I give you a chance, You've committed to each other, you're mature adults, and you understand that marriage isn't just about love, because love is up and down. Love is an emotion. And there are times in marriage, I understand that, you really think, you question love, but you're committed to each other, you're committed to the process, building the family. On top of the normal challenges of marriage, which it's not easy in any country, right? You have language, you speak perfect English, so that's not a problem. But you have cultural differences, mindset differences, because very different worlds we come from. It's almost like matching a Venetian from Venus and a Martian, and saying, okay, live happily ever after now. You have to be so committed to getting to know each other, to fitting together,
Yes.
And I can share, Anna and I, when we got married, we were 1 year getting to know each other. And yet, the biggest fight we've ever had was the day after getting married. My advice to anyone, and certainly to use is hang in there. It's not always rainbows and angels, and fairy dust. It's about the commitment, and you have a beautiful daughter to keep to bond you, which is very powerful. I think of our marriage and, our daughters, I love them already so much. It's a huge, powerful glue that keeps us together and gives us strength to make it through the dips, because marriage is mountains and valleys. So you asked, there you have it.
Yes.
Thank you, yes. We're experiencing some of that already.
Because I think the public sees Anna and I, and a lot of people think it's the perfect marriage and we don't have any challenges, but no, the truth is we do have challenges.
Sure, it's life.
And, age gap adds to that too. You have 17,
Personal
we have 20 years.
Yes, absolutely.
It does.
But again, it comes back to that commitment, And I really, I love Anna more now than I did the day we got married. And as our daughters, and I find it grows and grows if you stick in there.
That's great.
I see you guys have, a beautiful love story, a daughter to hold on to. And, my wish and my prayer for you is that you will just, be easygoing about it. It's a new, it's like a new child, your marriage. And you need to just, like the child, it needs to be cared for. And when you nourish it over the years, it will grow and grow and grow, and I feel your love will grow for each other as it does.
Thank you, George. Thank you
That's
very
good.
much.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure, being able to sit here, have a spot of tea, some champagne, and talk about your magical day and your magical moment. And I wish you all the best as you move to UK and begin your life together.
Yes, thank you. We are going to do this soon.
Yes.